friends, I'm Andrea Lake and I am super excited to share a new process video for Pinkfresh Studio, this time using the Holiday Dreams collection. Beautiful, beautiful collection. You can see here how the basics of this layout, but I want to add some hot foiling elements and I want to play with the Winterberries frame suites. So we're going to be doing some stamping, playing with the inks, with the stencil, and doing some die cutting to get some additional elements and embellishments for our layout. I am stamping that frame using the Misty Coast ink. That is a great shade, and that way I'm going to get a super light stamping that's not going to take over, you know, the green and the reds that we're going to be using for the rest of the image. I am loving, this is the first time that I am actually working on a full project, doing some stamping and using the stencil, since I have the ink holder, right? And I can see all my inks. Before owning the ink holder, I had my inks in a drawer. So it was quite hard to know exactly what I wanted to use, or it made the decision process a little bit harder, trying to find the exact color I wanted to use. So here I can see exactly, the sets are perfectly organized, so I know what inks came together, and the fact that I can see them all, it makes, again, the decision process way easier, and it's just more fun, right, to be able to see all of the colors all at once. So if you still have not gotten yours, make sure that you take a look to see if it's something that you think will work for you. It's definitely working for me. So the holder still lives inside a drawer, but once I pull it out, I am able to see absolutely every color ink from Pinkfresh that I own, and I am loving that. All right, so I am adding the shades of green that I'm using for this stamps are the Fresh Pear and Sage, and then the orange and the red shades that I'm using are Peach Fuzz, Begonia, and Very Licious. Those are the three colors I'll be using. So we're adding a few more details here. See, again, it's fun. It makes so it may not look like the process, the choosing a color, that process, it's easier, but it is. I guess it's just, the difficulties come when, is this the right color? Is this the perfect color for this? But again, love the fact that I can see all the colors. Here you can see the final product. If you are planning, I'm not sure if I mentioned this before I started stamping. I did record this voiceover before. It did not save, so I'm not sure I mentioned this second time around. So if you are planning on replicating the layout I'm working on, you may need to just do the stamping once. I will not end up using all of the pieces that I'm cutting here. I like to work in batches. I like the idea of making some extra pieces now that I'm using the stencil and I'm gonna be doing some die cutting. I just created a few additional pieces. First of all, to have everything I wanted and be ready if I wanted to use more on this layout, but also understanding that I am creating some extra pieces for future projects just to have them in hand. Now, the hot foiling, I was not able to record the process of using my Glimmer hot foil machine, but here I am cutting. One thing that I'm showing you, once I got my plate, everything was hot, it was time to run the plate through the die cutting machine. I used this solid hot foil plate to get the most out of every piece that I was cutting and using my hot foil machine for. This is part of the Essentials line, and I used, let me bring it here, the Nested Diamonds set to get the original pieces. I just wanted to replicate. If you remember in the beginning, you saw that diamond shape for my photo and the photo mat. So I would just want to replicate that diamond shape along the layout. So I'm using and cutting all of these extra pieces. This was just a rabbit hole I got into once I started doing the hot foiling. I was like, wait, but I cannot waste any of this foiled cardstock. And what if I want to use all of these pieces on the layout or just some of them? But wait a minute, let me open the packaging and use the tiny pieces, because again, I have a lot of extra here, right? And it was just like an extra half hour where I just said, let's just for 1 minute forget about the original project and keep working on this and trying to get as many pieces out of this for either extra projects or just to experiment. I just want to know, if I try using the smallest diamond die, what would I get? So it was definitely a fun experience. I was working on this layout late at night, and that's how my brain works, right? Like squirrel. Okay, now I have this. Now I'm doing the stencil. But going back to the original project, the layout, that grid was fussy cut. I did fussy cut it from one of the pattern papers. And then what I like about these two papers that I have, the gray one and then the other one, is that the pattern is pretty similar, and I could take that. It's same but different, right? So I was able to add that on top and kind of replicate the same pattern without that photo mat taking over my background. Now I'm using some of the pieces that I cut after getting the hot foil on them, and I'm bringing some of the green that I got from the grid now on the bottom part of my layout. And I'm gonna be doing the same, mirroring whatever I do on the right side. I'm gonna kind of replicate on the left side. You can see now that I ended up changing my mind. I did not use the original pieces that I hot foiled and cut. I am using all of the other pieces that I cut after that. Walking in a winter wonderland will be the phrase that I will be using for my title, and it will be on the top of my layout. And you can see some of the details now. Some of the sprigs and leaves that I have, the dark green ones, were fussy cut from another pattern paper, and I used some of those already on a couple of projects that I made with this collection. But I ended up fussy cutting the entire page and added all of those extra leaves and sprigs as part of the die. I use them as die cuts, right? And you can see some of the pieces that we stamped. Those have also been included. I'm only adding a few more details on the top left, and we'll be creating adding our journaling spot in a minute. Just a few more foam squares to secure the pieces and get the dimension that I want on that page. Here we go. We're going to now create our journaling spot and add in the final details. I always like, and I'll say it, again and again. Dimension and texture are my thing. When I see a page, I like the idea of thinking that I can touch it, and if I touch it, I'm going to feel a lot of that dimension and texture. So that's why I ended up adding the glossy accent details on top of the page. So this is it, my friends. Today, I hope you enjoy the process of this video and see me going, on a rabbit hole, just doing all the things to complete one layout. It is always fun to start with a general idea and not knowing exactly where that idea is going to take you until you are on your workspace working on it. So please let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to see what you create with the beautiful Holiday Dreams collection. All of the products that I use are linked in the description box below in case you want to check them out. And this was Andrea for Pinkfresh Studio. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.